I pretended to be an Omega student to get close to the Beta director and got caught flirting with an Alpha. Who knew lying about your designation could lead to heartbreak, scientific breakthroughs, and a kiss under sterile lab lights? I only wanted a job. I didn't mean to fall in love with both of them. The lie was small at first. A misclick in an online application. I chose Omega instead of Beta. But once I stepped into the prestigious San Cielo Institute of Genetic Evolution, it snowballed into something monstrous. The director Dr. Alec Verdun was a renowned Beta, cold and brilliant, known for his Omega-exclusive research on bond suppression and secondary gender fluidity. I, a desperate, underqualified Beta posing as an Omega, wanted in. I wanted to learn. I wanted him. But I didn't account for Rhett, the Alpha research assistant with a crooked grin and the kind of touch that makes your skin remember. I didn't mean to flirt, but something about his gaze hungry, confused, amused pulled words from me I didn't know I could say. And in that moment, everything began to crack. It started with my first meeting with Alec Verdun. He didn't look up when I walked in, just flipped through my falsified profile and said, "We don't usually take new recruits this late in the semester, especially Omegas with no published research." I swallowed. "I make up for it in instinct." He raised an eyebrow. "Instincts are unreliable, but interesting." He assigned me to molecular data analysis. Long hours, late nights, and silent proximity. I tried not to stare at the way his glasses slipped down his nose when he concentrated, or how he pinched the bridge of it when he was frustrated. He never wore a scent suppressant. He didn't need to. Betas didn't release anything worth noticing. Or so I thought until I caught a whiff of something calm. Cool cedar and codeine. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe I was starting to bond, even though I wasn't really an Omega. Then Rhett happened. He bumped into me in the break room, literally spilled coffee on my lab coat, then smirked like it was the best thing that had happened all day. "New?" he asked, eyes scanning me like I was a new puzzle. "Transferred from UC Berkeley." I lied again. "Omega Psychogenetics." He gave a low chuckle. "Figures. You Omegas always look like you're hiding something." I tried to act offended. "Excuse me?" "I meant it as a compliment," he said. "Makes things more fun." Over the next few weeks, I found myself working late just to hear his voice across the lab, or feel his arm brush mine as he passed. He smelled like storms and danger, the kind of Alpha no Omega should be near unsupervised. Except I wasn't an Omega. Not really. But I was being watched closely. One night, while reviewing enzyme variance reports, Alec looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "Your work's too precise for someone new." Almost like someone who's been studying beta mechanics for years. I stiffened. "Isn't that good?" "It's suspicious." He leaned in. "And so is your scent. It doesn't match your designation." My heart stopped. Was he accusing me? Did he know? I forced a laugh. Maybe I'm just atypical or dishonest. He left it there. But from that day on, he stopped calling me to his office. He stopped looking at me like I mattered, and I hated it more than I thought I would. And yet Rhett grew bolder. One evening, he cornered me in the empty archive room. "You ever wonder what it's like to bond?" he asked, his voice low. I stepped back. "Rhett, I don't think. You're scared. Omegas usually are." He leaned in. "But I like your kind of fear. It smells addictive." It was dangerous. But his mouth was inches from mine, and I forgot myself. I kissed him. It was reckless, addictive, like kissing every consequence I'd ever run from. But the worst part? Alex saw. He stood at the doorway still, silent, like a shadow cut from logic, his face unreadable. And then he walked away. My stomach turned. I pushed Red away. "I have to go," I whispered, and ran. The next morning, the lab access code was changed. My badge didn't work. Alex summoned me. He didn't sit, just stood with a file in his hand. My file. The real one. "I ran your pheromone profile through the National Registry," he said. "You're a beta. And a liar." I opened my mouth to explain. "Alec, I just wanted a chance." You falsified federal documents. You manipulated alpha interactions. Do you realize how dangerous that is? I never meant to. To what? Bond with someone who can imprint on scent? Or maybe you did want that. I flinched. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Then why does it feel like you hurt me? He asked, and his voice cracked barely. It was the only time I'd ever seen him emotional. I admired you, I said softly. More than anyone. I just didn't think you'd ever see me if I came as myself. A long silence. Then, barely above a whisper, you were wrong. I was dismissed from the program. Quietly. No scandal. Just a disappearance from the lab board and a revoked ID. I went back to working cafe shifts, wondering if I'd ruined everything good that had ever touched me. Until I got the message. A time. A location. Coordinates that led to a new lab privately funded. No institutional bias. And a note. We need people who think like you. Not like what society tells them to be. Come as yourself. I showed up. He was there. Alec. So was Rhett. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who had broken protocol. Rhett had confessed to overstepping boundaries. But instead of discipline, Alec had offered him a role in a project about designation fluidity. We worked together. Awkward at first. Then not so much. One night, under sterile white lights and the hum of cooling tanks, Alec approached me. I never stopped reading your enzyme theories, he said. You were right about receptor mirroring. I smiled. So I wasn't all fake? You were the most real thing I'd seen in years. I looked at him. You still angry? Only that you didn't trust me. I exhaled. I didn't trust myself. Rhett joined us then, holding out 2 coffees. He handed one to me. Betas don't usually get the spotlight, he said. But you re something else. I laughed. A fraud. No, Alex said. A beginning. I stood between them alpha and beta, and for the first time I didn't feel like I had to be anything else. We changed the field. Launched the first peer-reviewed study proving designations could shift with environment and emotion. That bonds were not defined by biology alone. The paper's final line was mine. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come from pretending until we find the truth underneath. And underneath I found this. Love isn't limited by designation. It's defined by courage. And I finally had mine. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.